how's it going? I am going to be discussing technically two things, but mainly I'm going to be discussing the new Batman movie, Dark Knight Rises. And then I'm going to kind of do a rant video. I'm not going to try to get too upset or emotional, but I do want to kind of bring it up because it's something that kind of bothers me. And I want to get your guys' opinion, know if I'm getting too paranoid about things. So I'm going to get the rant out of the way. So, there was this trailer for this movie, and it was really not the best trailer. It was for this new movie called The Man with the Iron Fist. It's this kung fu movie, but it's not the traditional way of kung fu. It's very, I should tell you what the trailer was about. It's this Lucy Liu, she's an Asian actress. She's oh, the only way you could become warriors is through sex and violence. The trailer for this movie was so explicit. They had their, okay, I'm just gonna be straight up honest with you guys. I'm not even gonna beat around the bush because it was really let me get to the violence part first. There was blood splattered everywhere, which does not bother me too much. It was very unexpected still, but I could handle that. But then there's this one part where he punched him in the face, and then his eyeball flew out. And this is one thing for a movie, but the trailer was this was the trailer, and I didn't understand what that was about. But then there was so much sex and just in the trailer, horrible. I don't understand why people think that's okay to put that in the trailer. If you have to put it in your movie, but and if you can help me understand how they get away with putting that into a trailer, please let me know, because it doesn't make any sense to me, and I feel like that's really wrong. But now let's talk to something that wasn't wrong and was perfectly right. The Dark Knight Rises. So I have my notes. I have some notes of key points that I want to bring up, and this is going to be in no order, but I want to tell you this video is most likely going to contain spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, favorite this video and watch it later, because I don't want to ruin the movie for you, but I do want to try to get a discussion going and express what things I like about the Batman movies in general, but I don't want to spoil it for anybody that doesn't want it spoiled for them, which I don't understand why you would. So the first thing about the Batman movies I like about them over all the other superhero type movies like the Avengers is there is a really strong, good balance of character development and action. The one thing about all the Batman movies is you really come to care about the characters, and you really understand where they're coming from when they do fight crime, and why they fight crime, and why they are the way they are. I felt I know so many people don't like to get these type of movies compared, but with the Avengers, you understood why Thor and Loki hated each other. You understood, but it wasn't in depth. The thing about the Batman movies is it's a trilogy, so you really do get to understand through all three of the movies where Bruce Wayne is coming from, why he's the way he is. Each movie builds up upon each other. With the Avengers, that's a disadvantage. They don't have more movies. I mean, there is the individual movies for each superhero, but as a movie collectively with all the superheroes, you don't really get that. But with Batman, he is such a deep, complex character. It's almost this isn't so much an action flick as it is a character study, especially with the villains and with Batman and Bruce Wayne himself. I think that it's a good character study, and you really do end up caring for Bruce because you kind of gotten to know him and got to know him as Bruce, but also as Batman, and that's really cool. It's really something that makes you just want to cheer for him when he goes fights the Joker, or he goes fights Bane. Which leads me to my next point. I thought Bane as a villain in this movie was really good. So many critics of this film, but people who criticize movies, who talk about movies and stuff, said that the one problem that they even remotely had with this movie was they couldn't understand what some Bane was saying. Every movie critic I watched that talks about The Dark Knight Rises mentions that, and I totally agree. Sometimes I think they get really wrapped up in the, oh, he has this thing on his face and you don't really understand. He really reminds me of the like superhero version of Darth Vader. Like, I call him the Darth Vader wannabe. It kind of reminds me of that, and it's really true when you think about it. But I think it's really, I like BiT as a villain because he really beats Batman up in this movie. Like, he almost killed him. First spoiler of this video. Like, he bangs him up pretty well in this movie, and so I really like that you kind of feel, for a long portion of this movie, you feel like this kind of desperation, and like, he takes over the city, and like, to the point where it's like a civil unrest, and like, he's a really good villain, and he's very methodical. One thing about like him compared to the Joker, and I'm trying my best not to really like talk about the Dark Knight, but you know, it's good to compare the series, like the trilogy, is the Joker seemed a lot more hands-on, and what I mean by that is when he would like pretend or like kill somebody, he did a lot more with his hands, where I get the feeling from Bane that he relied a lot on explosions, and you know, there's the bomb, the atomic bomb that he got his hands on, and just all these different things, and that's kind of a contrast and compare thing between the Joker from the Dark Knight and Bane from the Dark Knight Rises. And I think that the Joker, as far as like what I was mentioning in the first part of this video, the character development, I think you understand where the Joker's coming from a little bit more. I mean, don't get me wrong, The Dark Knight Rises explains how Bane got to be a villain, but it's a little bit more vague, where, like, through The Dark Knight, it really says, okay, this is why the Joker's the way he is, because the way that his father treated him in his childhood and stuff, and I thought that was a really good way of doing that. And then another character that I really liked, and I'm kind of thinking about it more, is Blake. He's played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which I think that was perfectly cast. Like, he did an amazing job. He was probably one of my favorite characters, obviously next to Batman. It was really interesting because he played a detective, and he played this really, like, passionate person who, he's probably the only one that believes in Batman still, because basically what happened is, if it picks up right off where the Dark Knight left off with Harvey Dent, and everybody thinks that Batman killed him, and everybody kind of turned their back on Batman, causing Bruce Wayne to kind of become a recluse. And he's the one person that believes in Batman because he has a very similar story. His parents died in very similar ways to Batman or Bruce Wayne's parents, and so he really is like, you know, you're an orphan turned rich billionaire. I look up to you still, and I know that you can do so much good. And like, he really just had this faith in the Batman and Bruce, and I thought that was really, really cool. And Superman, he doesn't have kryptonite. You know, and I mean, I'm not bashing Superman. He's a cool comic book character. Don't get me wrong on that one. But, like, you know, in, like, Spider-Man, he got bit by a spider. But when you think about it, Bruce Wayne didn't have anything really happen to him. Like, as far as, like, genetic altering things that, like, gave him superpowers. Like, when we think of superpowers, like, he's just really awesome in that way. And I absolutely love this movie, and this is a video, I really wish that I would have gotten into Batman, because, like, honestly, I watched, the other movies, like, because I wanted to, like, know what happens. But, like, if you guys, well, I kind of, like, made this a spoiler thing, so, but, like, I think it does a really good job. Like, you kind of know who Harvey Dent is, but I would definitely say, like, if you have any friends who haven't watched it, I would say, like, have them watch The Dark Knight at least. But, yeah, this is my spoiler review of The Dark Knight, like, my very extensive thoughts on The Dark Knight. This video is probably going to be 15, 17, 20 minutes long, but it's worth it because I love this movie. You need to go see it, and I'm just rambling on. I will talk to you later. DFTBA